This short recording will review a selection of resources that will hopefully support SPHE teachers with planning their SPHE lessons at junior cycle. We will provide a brief overview of the aims of SPHE, the structure of the SPHE short course specification, and also take you into two key websites, the SPHE PDST website and the NCCA toolkit, where key lessons and resources to support teaching and learning in junior cycle SPHE will be highlighted. As you can see, SPHE is designed to enable students to develop a positive sense of themselves and a commitment to caring for themselves and others. The skills developed through SPHE are vital for self-fulfillment, for living in communities, and for full engagement in learning beyond SPHE. Through this curricular area of well-being, SPHE is designed to help students develop skills which will support their own personal reflection, their empathy towards others and themselves, as well as building resilience. The 2021 Revised Wellbeing Guidelines clearly states the importance of SPHE as a subject, as it creates learning moments for students specific to the areas of health and well-being. It also provides opportunities for students to develop their positive sense of self and also develop an understanding of what healthy relationships are. SPHE supports students to develop social skills, to enhance their self-awareness, to develop coping mechanisms and problem-solving skills through their classroom interactions and through a learning outcomes design specification. Before choosing specific resources for your classes, it is worth reflecting on the following. The relevance and appropriateness of each resource for a particular class needs to be considered by the SPHE teacher, as the teacher is best placed to discern what resource is suited to supporting learning for their students' unique needs, stage of development, and school context. Students are at different stages of emotional, social, and physical development, and each young person will bring a wide variation of life experiences to their learning in SPHE. In SPHE, through the use of experiential methodologies and group work, students have the dedicated space and time in the short course to develop their understanding and skills, to learn about themselves, to care for themselves and others, and to make informed decisions about their health and well-being in a rapidly changing world. We have a short video on our PDST website that demonstrates what the experiential cycle may look like in an SPHE classroom. We have an ask model of teaching and learning in SPHE, attitude, skills and knowledge. There is a need for a balance between knowledge, concept formation, understanding, skills and attitudes. In many ways, students bring information to the SPHE classroom for critical scrutiny, analysis and evaluation. The ask model is focused on not solely the passing on of new information, but to support students in processing that information. What might the ask model look like in the SPHE curriculum today? On the right of the slide is an example of what the ask model might look like when exploring the topic of mental health. Please take a few moments to read through this to consider how this might be applicable to your own classroom environment. Consulting with students about the content of SPHE lessons and the methodologies for teaching and learning will produce valuable insights. Finding out which topics a particular class or year group feels are most important to them at this moment in time will give you a very current picture of their needs. And the very act of consulting with your students will help foster positive teacher-student relationships and shared responsibility for their learning. Schools from September 2022 have two options when it comes to planning their SPHE programme. For more information on this, please watch our SPHE Essentials short recording. Here we are going to focus on option 1, the NCCA's short course specification. There are 3 key documents that are important to familiarise yourself with as you plan for your junior cycle SPHE lessons. The SPHE specification, which details the 45 learning outcomes associated with this short course. The SPHE assessment guidelines, which explores how we can embed effective assessment approaches into teaching and learning in SPHE. And finally, the Wellbeing Guidelines, which offers guidance on whole school wellbeing, as well as offering samples of wellbeing programs designed to accommodate 400 timetabled hours of wellbeing. The SPHE short course specification is divided into 4 strands. These include who am I, minding myself and others, team up, and my mental health. On this slide, you can see the list of learning outcomes under each of these strands. It is expected that by the end of year 3, students will have an opportunity to engage with all 45 of these learning outcomes. To make sure everyone, students, parents and teachers, have a common understanding of what well-being means, 6 indicators have been identified. These indicators make explicit what is important for young people in supporting their well-being and in their learning. The indicators of well-being can support conversations around student well-being and may help identify where a student is in need of support. In SPHE, all except one of these indicators can be activated through different SPHE methodologies. The only exception is the active indicator. I'm now going to take you through some of the key resources to support teaching, learning and assessment at Junior Cycle SPHE. The first website I will bring your attention to is our PDST SPHE website, which contains a suite of resources that can support you as you plan your SPHE lessons. To access this website, please use the QR code on the screen, or alternatively, type the link below into your search engine. When you click on the QR code or type the link into your search engine, you will be taken to this website. This is our SPHE online resource portal. Here you will find quite a selection of resources to support teaching, learning and assessment in SPHE. Here you will see physical distancing methodologies and graphic organisers to support the experiential learning cycle in SPHE. If you scroll down further, you will be brought to specific lessons. On the left-hand side, the NCCA toolkit, which I will take you to. But firstly, I want to focus on the right-hand side, the new HSC first year lessons. Here you can see a selection of resources and lessons on understanding ourselves, being healthy, healthy choices, or a C in emotional well-being. So these can support many of the 45 learning outcomes within the short course specification. As you scroll down further, you will find links to student well-being, SPHE resources, websites, policy development, and SPHE planning. If you click on SPHE resources, it will take you to this section where you can see on the right-hand side the short course specification document, which you can download. And further down, you will see it's subdivided into particular topics that can be explored within SPHE. Resources on anti-bullying, internet safety, mental health. Resources referred to as On My Own 2 Feet, which can support the social emotional literacy development of our students. Personal safety, RSE, and substance use. Further down, you'll find quite a substantial list of additional websites to support each of those topic areas. And further down, you will see resources for policy development and review. And finally, at the very bottom of this website, you will find planning resources. So here you will find the wellbeing guidelines, key skills, wellbeing indicators, statements of learning, and so on. Again, these can be perused in more detail in your own time. I will now take you to the NCCA toolkit, where more resources to support teaching and learning in SPHE can be found. To access this website, please use the QR code on the screen, or alternatively, pause the recording and type the link into your search engine. An alternative option is also to go back to our PDST SPHE website, where we will find a direct link to the Junior Cycle SPHE resources on the NCCA toolkit. These links will take you to this Curriculum Online website. As you scroll down, you will find some background information on SPHE. And further down on the page, you will find these 3 links. A section on preparing to teach, teaching SPHE, and resources for teaching and learning. By clicking on the preparing to teach, you will find a selection of documents that you can peruse in your own time to support you as you plan your SPHE lessons. Additionally, the Teaching SPHE RC link will bring you to further documents on student voice, creative approaches to assessment, effective pedagogical approaches, student reflection, and information on the experiential learning cycle. The last section, which is resources for teaching and learning, will take you to this page. Here is a very useful document to help you discern what criteria is needed when you are selecting resources for your SPHE classes. Further down, you will see the 4 strands referenced earlier. Who am I? Minding myself and others, team up, and my mental health. When you click down on each of these strands, you will find that the NCCA have aligned learning outcomes with specific resources to support you as you navigate these different learning outcomes in the junior cycle SPHE specification. Here, for example, 1.1, 1.2, which is linked to strand 1, has included resources from the HSE lessons, from Before You Decide, and also includes some background information for yourself as a teacher. You can see at the top of this page, though, that the NCCA do specify that these resources have been selected because they were developed for this age group by a state agency or organisation with a proven educational track record in the area of SPHE RSE, and that the resources have been carefully mapped against the learning outcomes of the short course specification. However, the relevance and appropriateness of each of these resources for a particular class needs to be considered by you, the SPHE teacher, as the teacher is the best placed person to discern what resources is suited to support learning for their students' unique needs, stage of development, and school context. In your own time, you can peruse each of the 4 strands and the relevant lessons within these to see what might be suitable for your students. Further bespoke support in SPHE is available to you and your colleagues by using the application process outlined here. One of our health and wellbeing advisors can support your school at a pace and path that works for your own school context. All requests must be approved by your principal.